when I talk with men about dating, you know, most of the guys I work with aren't really good at interacting with women. They're not good at approaching women and having a conversation. And so oftentimes they don't. And we try to basically trick the woman into, pretending that we're not talking to her because we want to see her breasts. We want to entertain her and do magic for her. The truth is, we're doing all that because we want to see her breasts. Again, she knows that. So let's just be real about it. Let's cut to the chase of it. And let's not try to pretend it's about something else and try to sneak an agenda around. And I teach men about being willing to get to rejection quickly. Getting to rejection quickly is getting to know. Because if you get to know, well, you might find out that there's actually a way around the objection, or you may find out it's just a hard no. Don't waste your time. Don't waste any more. Move on.
So true. In terms of nice guys, one of the things that stood out to me and just had me nodding along every time I've heard you speak about it and every time I've read you write about it, all things covert contracts.
Oh yeah.
What's going on there?
All right, that honestly, that's my favorite part of No More Mr. Nice Guy, of the book. And a lot of people tell me that was kind of the game changer for them. I get emails all the time from people saying, Robert, thank you. Your book turned my life around, saved my life. I've read every self-help book, been to every, retreat, seminar, workshop. This gave me the paradigm to see why, things weren't clicking in my life. And covert contracts are at that core piece, going back to how we are trying to manage our shame, manage our anxiety, trying to be liked, be loved, and get our needs met. I mean, that's what we're all really about, right? Being liked and loved and get our needs met. So nice guys have these covert contracts, and they are just exactly what the word sounds. They're covert, they're hidden, they're secret, they're behind the veil. And unfortunately, and they don't work. None of them work for multiple reasons. And unfortunately, one of the reasons they don't work is the nice guy is often completely unaware of his covert contracts. Now, covert contracts are fundamentally manipulative. And because nice guys, because we think we're nice, would never entertain the idea, we're manipulative. No, that's only bad people but we are. We're manipulative. It's one of the reasons we're not so nice. So they're fundamentally manipulative. They're giving to get. Another problem is nobody else knows the covert contract exists. Our neighbor doesn't know they exist. Our best friend doesn't know they exist. The woman we want to try to, go out with us doesn't know they exist. The woman we want to have sex with us doesn't know. Our wife doesn't know they exist. Nobody else knows it. God doesn't even, well, maybe God knows they exist. So here we are living this, covert contracts. And there's three primary ones. I'm going to spell them out even clearer than they are in the book. Covert contract number one is that if I'm a good guy, and, I'm the decider if I'm a good guy. I got my scoreboard, right? Look, I'm good. I did that good.
The hero in your own story.
I love that. Hero in my own story. I'm going to use that. I'm a good guy. I got the scoreboard to prove it. So I should be liked and loved. And the woman I want, and say if I'm straight, the woman I want to, she should want me back. And this doesn't matter for straight, gay. It applies to how do I get the people to want me and desire me back. Now, this has a number of things that go wrong. The nice guy, because I have this bank account of how good I am, and because our shame is the driver, we don't want anything to touch that shame or put a spotlight on it. So if anybody ever criticizes us, ghosts us, doesn't want to hang out with us,
rejects,
says no to, we ask for a number, they say no. We ask our partner for sex, they say no, whatever. We internalize that, oh, I am bad. And then we get even into this resentful thing. Well, I gave to you, I did this for you. You should appreciate me. You should be available to me. And if you go if you go on Google or, any search engine and search for nice guys. And if you find any articles or blogs written by women, almost always there'll be a cautionary tale of the woman saying, watch out for nice guys, because, and they'll tell this story of some guy that, they became friends, her and the guy, and the woman's going through a tough time, and the guy was helpful, and he listened and pitched in and, shared his resources and made her car payment and helped her sister move and, listened to her talk about her ex-boyfriend that she kept going back to. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, he kind of makes a move, ask her out maybe, or makes a sexual advance, and she's startled, and says, you want to go out with me? She goes, what? With you? No, we're friends. I couldn't do that. And then the guy's pissed off. He's resentful. His covert contract was, I call this nice guy seduction. I'll listen to you talk about your problems. I'll be different than the bad men you're complaining about. I'll help you, I'll pay your car payment. I'll come pick you up and drive you home when you got too drunk, and the date you were with, drop, whatever it is, you're going to like me, and you're going to want to be my girlfriend, and you're going to want to get naked with me. And then when it doesn't happen, because the woman had no clue. And I say she had no clue. She did. I promise you. When a guy is doing all of these nice things for a woman, she may have no inclination that she's ever going to get naked with him or be his girlfriend. She knows what the guy wants. Women know why we talk to them. They know it's because they have breasts and we want to see their breasts. They know that. So when the woman acts like, I had no idea that, he had all that. Yeah, she did. But
deep down, she had an awareness of why.
No, not even deep down. She knew.
Down?
Not even deep down. She knew why he was talking to her, listening to her talk about her problems, paying her car payment. She knew why. Okay, but they're right. The women that I've read several of these kind of blog articles. They're right. Is it because of the nice guy's covert contracts? They're passive aggressive. They're resentful. They're not nice. And there's some things I like about red pill, and there's some things that I find really offensive. But one of the terms I actually kind of like is the Captain Save-A-Ho. That, all right, you're broken, you got problems, I'm going to be that white knight. I know, because I do that. Oh, she's broken just enough. That's the perfect fit for me. I can come in and fix that. I'm a nice guy. I've done this. I've practiced nice guy seduction, for a good part of my adult life. Once I broke that habit, I actually started having a lot better relationships. Okay. But that's just covert contract number one. Covert contract number two. If I read your mind and give to you what you need without having to ask, you should read my mind and give to me without me having to ask. Now, of course, I can't really read your mind, and everything I give to you, remember, it's a covert contract. I'm giving to you just so you will give back to me. Maybe just appreciate me and think I'm amazing and tell me how great it was. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Or you'll read my mind and give back to me. But you don't know that contract even exists. You can't really read my mind. And as a nice guy, if I pick people who can't even fucking get their own needs met, and I'm thinking I can, fix them, how are they going to meet my needs? They're not even equipped to meet their own needs. But I think, if I give enough to them, they'll give back. And then the topper is nice guys are terrible receivers. Every woman I've ever had in my life has said, Robert, you're difficult to give to. So if I hear that from every woman, it must be true. Because I don't want to be like my dad. He was selfish. He'd boss my mother around. Mrs. Glover, get me something to eat. Mrs. Glover, get me a fork. I don't want to be like that, right?
It was a learned behavior younger. I'm going to differentiate myself.
Definitely. I'm not going to. And then later on in adolescence, hearing the angry feminism and hearing all the women, men only want one thing. I won't be that guy. I won't be the guy who only wants one thing. Of course I want that thing. But I even hide that from myself. But I'm going to give to you, you'll give to me. But nice guys are terrible receivers. It triggers our shame. It triggers our anxiety. We think we're doing something wrong if we ask for help, if we let anybody give to us. Talking about a recovering nice guy, I'm still working at letting people give to me. I still have to consciously, because I reflexively do it myself. I've had to learn to delegate. I've had to learn to ask people to help. I either reflexively do it myself, or if somebody offers to help, I got it. I can do it myself. My wife she's a beautiful creature. And we've been married 7.5 years, and she's just a giving, caring person. And she could kick my ass. She's a gym rat too. She grew up in poverty. She had to fight her way through life. And, we'll be sitting at the table, and I don't have a fork. And so I get up to walk to the kitchen. It's 20, 25 steps into the kitchen to get a fork. She'll go, where are you going? I need a fork. This is all in Spanish, by the way, because she doesn't speak English. So I got to learn Spanish when I met my wife. So I necesito un tenedor. I need a fork. And she goes, I'll get it. Now, if I agree to let her get it, that makes me feel like my dad. Kind of like, Mr. Glover, get me a fork. And I go, no, I got it. Because I do. I can walk in the kitchen and get my own fork.
I know. You can serve your own needs there.
I can. But you know what? My wife has sat me down on more than one occasion and said, listen, you bless my life in every way. You pay for everything. I have a good life. My children have a good life. I have everything I need, everything I want. You love me in so many ways. She said, let me love you by doing these things for you. Let me go get a fork for you so I can show you that I love you. And so when she puts it that way, that her doing that for me is her way to show she loves me, is to say, you show your love in so many ways. Let me love you back. And so we nice guys, I've had to learn and work at letting people love me, letting people do things for me, let them care about me. And that's hard for nice guys.
You must be willing to receive the support and not feel shameful about receiving it.
Yeah, well, I might still feel shameful and anxious, but I got to soothe those feelings, right?
Disregard. Okay, understand
The
fully.
feeling, that's the beauty of doing this work. Whatever we bump into that's old is going to bring up feelings. That's okay. Now we can just recognize them for what they are. Oh, that's a feeling of shame or of anxiety, or I'm being hurtful or abusive because I'm letting somebody, or I'm being like my dad. No, I can just watch it now, take a breath, and go, okay, sure, you can get me a fork. And so that's just these little practices. So that's covert contract number 2, is that giving. I'll give to you, you'll read my mind and give to me. Covert contract number 3 is if I'm a good guy, if I do everything right, then I'll have a smooth, problem-free life. So
Nothing will ever go wrong.
Nothing will ever. It's Peter Panish. Life should always be good. Always should be smooth. Never should be unpredictable. But we live in a chaotic world. Everything about the cosmos is chaotic. It's constantly in change. But nice guys do not like change. We want everything smooth, copacetic, easy. Want everything pushed to us. We want to live in the nursery and not have any challenges. And so,
Robert, this is one of the ones that speaks to me.
That'll happen.
This one really speaks to me because I'm somebody that likes, to use a Jordan Petersonism, I like to have order and I like to have relative control of how things are going. And my hope is that if I can control as many of the controllables as I can, then less things will go wrong outside of that. Yeah. Now, of course, I can try and be stoic and be calm about when the storm does come. I've done the work to be ready as possible for it. However, if you fall into the extreme end of nice guy syndrome in this regard, you just think that if I just nail every variable, if I just control everything,
and I can,
then nothing,
and I can,
yes, and I can.
I'm, this grandiose belief, I can do it. I can nail them all. And then again, when we think we've nailed them all, and shit still happens, God still doesn't hear our prayers. God doesn't make the tumor get better. The woman who used to love us doesn't love us anymore. Our kids get ill. Shit still happens. That's when we grow. That's when we grow. But if we just double down thinking, well, I just have to try harder to do everything right, then I'm just not doing it right enough. Then that turns into perfectionism, which I don't think there's anything such thing as perfectionism. I think it's imperfectionism, because all we can see is what's not perfect yet. Or it turns into not trying, just not giving a fuck, not even bringing any energy to it.
So they almost opt out, Robert.
Yeah.
So, for example, there's no point in doing that. It's not even worth my time.
Not going to work. I tried that once. It didn't work. I hear that so many times from guys. Oh, I tried that. I tried talking to a woman once. It didn't work. Okay. What if, when you were like, 14 months old and, you tried standing up one time, it didn't work. I fell down. I tried walking, you can imagine talking to some like 30-year-old, they're crawling around on the floor, just scooting on all four. Yeah, I tried walking, it just didn't work out. I fell down, it's easier to stay on the floor. Yeah, we laugh at that, but we do that in so many ways. So I tried that once and it didn't work. I stumbled once, or I got embarrassed once, or I looked foolish once. I'm not going there again. And so we just opt out. I love that term. We just opt out.
Away from the podcast, Robert, I am a sales director, and I also do a lot of sales coaching in the last 12 months for other guys that want to improve what they do and get better results. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed is that fear of rejection. And there's a lot of nice guys in the sales world who have these covert contracts that if I do this, then my prospect will choose me over the other vendors or other competitors. But so often they are covert, as you said, and they're unspoken. So one of the biggest things that I've been teaching, and it's really funny that we're getting to speak today because just yesterday I ran a course where I use like mini closures or confirmation statements. If we can achieve X, Y, Z, then are you happy to appoint us? Are you happy to move forward with us? And I'm verbalizing that throughout the meeting. And if that comes up as a objection, then I deal with it at that point, or I know that the deal might not move forward. Whereas I think a lot of people, they'd rather keep it in the background, keep it unsaid,
Yeah.
and hope that nobody ever pushes back.
Getting to rejection quickly. Of course, you have covert contracts. And when I talk with men about dating, most of the guys I work with aren't really good at interacting with women. They're not good at approaching women and having a conversation. And so oftentimes they don't. Or if they do, they use some canned routine they learned, off the internet, a YouTube video, a pickup boot camp, some NLP, some hypnosis, some magic trick, some big feather in their hair, some poll question that the woman's already heard 30 times, and we try to basically trick the woman into, pretending that we're not talking to her because we want to see her breasts. We want to entertain her and do magic for her. The truth is, we're doing all that because we want to see her breasts. Again, she knows that. I think whatever we do that is as authentic as possible, without just coming out saying, I want to see your breast, will you give me your phone number? We probably have to be somewhat more nuanced than that. But, everybody knows why we're talking to each other in this situation. So let's just be real about it. Let's cut to the chase of it. And let's not try to pretend it's about something else and try to sneak an agenda around. And I teach men about being willing to get to rejection quickly. Getting to rejection quickly is getting to know. Because if you get to know, well, you might find out that there's actually a way around the objection, or you may find out it's just a hard no. Don't waste your time. Don't waste any more. Move on.
So true.
There's other open doors. It's easier to walk through an open door than pound on a closed locked door. The same thing is true in sales. People know when they're being sold. If they go on a car lot, they know they're going to get sold. If they click a button on the internet, they know that, they're going to get sold one way or another, either through some sophisticated click funnel or a sales call or a video promotion. We know that. Why not just be upfront? But I think people are attracted to authenticity and transparency. It's a virtue, whether it's in the dating world or in the sales world, that I think serves well. So yeah, your salespeople, let's just be clear up front. I want to get you to yes. And I'm going to set you up with a lot of questions that have yeses involved with them. And hopefully we'll get to the end and we'll do the assumptive close. How many should I sign you up for? Why not? Why not just be upfront? This is what we're going to do together.
I don't know if it's relevant to the dating world. Maybe you'll tell me it is, but I often say in the sales world that I would rather be trusted than liked. Because if my client or my potential client trusts me, then they're willing to take a leap of faith, particularly from a fiscal perspective. But in the dating perspective, I would suspect that I would want somebody to like me, not just trust me.
You know what? I'm big on the trust thing. We'll keep bouncing back and forth between dating and sales. That's okay. They're the same thing. And they have such good overlap. In the dating world, we men, unless you are just a really good looking guy, we men, like you, we men have no idea what women go through. The men that approach them, the men that have covert contracts, the men that, only do want one thing from them, the men that lie to them, the men that, spend a bunch of money on them, we think, well, women have it made, because, they don't have to do anything. The men approach them, they can say no, men spend money on them, all that. But, if you're walking around and every time you see a man look at you, every time you see a man smile at you, every time you see a man walk towards you, every time you see a man gesture, you don't know what the fuck he wants. Now, you know what he wants. He wants to see your breasts, but you don't know, is he going to have skills? Is he going to have a finesse about him? Is he going to have an authenticity about him? Is he going to be abrupt? Is he going to be abusive? Is he going to lie to you? Is he going to hurt you? Is he going to rape you? Women don't know that. They're having to deal with that all the friggin' time. So you know what? If you had that since you were a little girl, right? Everybody, oh, aren't you a sweet little girl? Aren't you a pretty little girl? If all your life you didn't know what all these predators wanted from you, that's why I'm not a big fan of pickup, of just approaching a woman just because you think she's hot and your ego would like her as a girlfriend or you'd like to see her naked. I think it's invasive. I think it's why hashtag Me Too exists. Now, I'm not saying don't talk to women, don't respond to their signals, their invitations, their indicators of interest. Don't. I'm not saying don't be good at interacting with them. I teach men how to be good, but by being authentic, by being real, by being transparent, it does build a sense of trust in the women, because women historically, evolutionary, have been security-seeking creatures. Out in nature, from evolution point of view, they were not as strong as men, not as fast as men. Often, were pregnant, carrying a baby, dependent, vulnerable. They've always felt vulnerable. Again, the whole hashtag Me Too thing was just a way of saying, I've been done too. I've been done. Me too. Me too. I've been done too. It's the vulnerability of the female that most men, maybe if we've been bullied, maybe if we've been sexually abused, we get it, right? But women tend to get that most of their lives. All right. So I think if you can communicate trust, not just through virtue signaling, which is nice guys try to do. I'm not like the asshole. I'm not talking to you just because I want to have sex with you. I'm not this one. I'm not. There's all this inauthenticity, the virtue signaling. I'm a good guy. Trust me. Give me what I want, and then then my covert contract, it's going to not be so pretty. So when I was dating, I can't tell you how many women, we went on a date or two, and maybe they came over to my apartment, and maybe, we sat on the couch to watch a TV show, and they fell asleep, their head on my chest, drooling and snoring. And then they this isn't real sexy, but, they wake up and they go, I'm drooling. And I go, you were snoring too. Women are out there in this world, both having to be in their masculine all the time, going to work,
in the modern
raising
world,
their
100%.
kids in the modern world, and they're being violated, and things are coming at them all the time. They're being done to. And all of a sudden, if they feel safe, if they feel secure, they can let their walls down enough that they'll fall asleep on a relative stranger's chest, on his couch, in his apartment, and drool and snore on his chest. Now, I came to learn that those women were going to be the best sex. Why? Because they felt safe with me. And when a woman feels safe, she can open. And when she opens,
a level of expression to free themselves,
emotionally, they'll open because they've already trusted me enough to say, okay, take me places. Take me places I've never been. Take me places I can't take myself. And the ability of a man to take a woman places, David Data would say, fuck her to God. To be able to do that requires her sense of safety and trust to open and say yes, and then to say yes to more and yes to more. And the same thing's true in sales. I think, if a person goes, this guy's authentic. He's laid it all out here. He's not trying to pitch me something else that I don't know, or trying to get me to sign up for something, or the extended contract, or, the this or that and the other thing. I think trust and safety, authenticity works well in sales and in the dating world.
Absolutely, Robert. One of the key phrases I've taken away from you over the years has been working towards being an integrated male. What does that involve?
When I was first writing No More Mr. Nice Guy, like I mentioned, I was just writing chapters to give to guys who were in my nice guy group. And over about 6-7 years, it turned into a real book. And I don't know, maybe about 5 years into it, I thought I was pretty much done with it. Yeah, this is pretty good. I sent it off to a professional editor, and the editor came back with some criticisms, some of which I thought were harsh. That kind of hurt my feelings. And he basically said, you're halfway done. Oh, fuck. I thought I was pretty much done. And he goes, there's too many illustrations. If I published everything I wrote, it'd been that thick, but as it is, about that thick. And he said, you're telling guys what not to be. Don't be the nice guy. Don't be the passively pleasing, conflict avoidant, because you're not telling them what's on the other side of that. And he said, and you're not telling them how to get there. You have to tell them what to do. And I go, I'm a therapist. You can't tell people what to do. And he goes, this is a self-help book. You have to tell people what to do. What are they becoming? And, I sat with that, and I talked to a lot of people, and I thought, well, what are we going to call these, recovering nice guys? And, there's no right word. It could have been authentic male, conscious man, open-hearted man. And I just came with integrated man. And to me, part of what was just that idea of integrity, because integrity just means everything is what you see is what you get. There's an integrity, there's a strength to it. And integration is when you can take all aspects of ourselves, the parts of ourselves we like, the parts of ourselves we want to keep hidden. Can we integrate them together? The light part of ourselves, the dark part of ourselves, the spiritual parts of ourselves, the material side, the caring side, the dickish side of ourselves. Can we look at all of those things? Can we bring them into the light and reveal them to other people? Start revealing them to safe people, therapists, a group, a coach, men's group. Can we ourselves look at everything and then let the world see that? So the integrated man isn't a perfect man. The mantra of my men's program, Integration Nation, it's just good men doing better. We don't have to become better men. We don't have to change who we are. I've got a little wristband on that just says do better. And that's all I got to do every day. I don't have to be better. I'm good. Now, as a buddy of mine told me one time, I'm struggling with, I'd acted in a way that hurt some people I cared about and hurt myself and kind of hurt my reputation. And I was asking my friend about it. It was a psychologist. I said, I thought I'd kind of cleaned this behavior up in my life. Why did it show up again? And I struggled for a couple of years, kind of working through this piece of like in my continuing recovery process. And my buddy said, basically, Robert, you can be a dick, but you're not a dick. He says, when you can integrate those two things together, you'll get a hand. So yeah, I can be a dick. I can be judgmental. I can be critical. I can be an ass. I can be impatient. I was probably a little bit dickish with that podcaster this morning when I said, I don't have time for this, but I did it with love. And so maybe the guy was clean his act up. And, I told another podcaster just a few days ago, I said, he asked me to, come on his show. And I said, do you have an online scheduler? Oh, no, just send me over some times you're available and I'll make it work. I said, no, if you want to make a good impression on your guest, you need an online scheduler because makes you look professional and it saves us all this back and forth. When you're free, when am I free? When are you free? And, he got right back to me with a scheduler. And, I booked with him. So, I was pretty direct with him. I wasn't particularly dickish with him. I just basically said, I called him out. You want to succeed at being a podcaster, make it easy for your guests. Right? So my ability to be dickish, but I'm not a dick. Actually, I think maybe both those guys say, you know what? I got to take my act to the next level. I got to bring more of my A game because that's really all I wanted. I wasn't trying to be a dick, but okay. If you I can be both.
People at the right time will take it the right way, and people in the right headspace will take it in a way that it's intended, particularly those that are growth minded. And if you host a podcast, you should try and be growth minded because you're going to have a lot of learning experiences along the way.
Maybe
it's not a direct route. I certainly think so. What are some of the practices then that somebody can undertake to try and become more integrated as a man?
All right, let's think about what we started out talking about. If our neuroses, whether it's nice guy syndrome, whether that's however that manifests in life, whether that's in hiding from life, whether that's being perfectionistic, whether it's being addictive, whether it's being conflict avoidant, whether it's being oppositionally defiant, right? Whether it's being a full-time dick all the time, right? Well, all of those things are triggered by shame and anxiety. So it seems like if we can work on the shame, we can work on the anxiety, we can go a long way to working on our neuroses, our defense mechanisms, our survival mechanisms that we adopted at a very early age that don't serve us now. Now, we hang on to them because that's all that we got. They're familiar. They've been there. They're reflexive. Kind of like the Viktor Frankl quote. I'll butcher it, but between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in that choice is our power and our freedom. That's what he says. I kind of butcher it. I've looked at that quote 1,000 times and I always butcher it, but I love it. So our reflexive response is coming out of that internalized shame and anxiety. Our conscious response, our open-hearted response, our in-the-moment response comes out of our ability to work through that shame and anxiety, to notice it when it gets triggered, and to find other ways of being with it rather than just pushing it down and doing our old reflexive type things.